The girls in this town have never changed in appearance despite living over 100 years. Their favorite thing to do each day is to tease the boys. Only by doing so can they feel like they're still alive. If someone loses the will to live, they are engulfed by a terrifying black fog. Long ago, a massive explosion at the local steel factory caused the town to seal off all its exits. Ever since then, time has stopped. This implies that both time and human aging have reached a halt. Here, people don't grow old and remain. After the explosion, no one can leave the town to live fully. Everyone started playing games that brought thrill or pain. At first, everyone believed the explosion was a punishment from the heavens. The steel factory became a machine of the gods, and everyone was trapped in this town by this so-called sacred machine. Until one day, Mutsumi quietly took Kikuiri to the ruins of the exploded factory. Kikuiri had never been there before, and everything seemed unfamiliar and mysterious. But then he stepped on a gnawed bone. Suddenly, a little girl leapt at him and clung tightly to his body. She began sniffing him all over. Just then, Mutsumi appeared. The little girl, seeing her, shrank back like a scolded child. Under Matsumi's firm tone, the girl finally calmed down. Later, while Kikuiri was cleaning out the chamber pot, he asked Mutsumi, who was that little girl? Why does she look so much like you? Mutsumi didn't answer directly. She only said that her stepfather had asked her to take care of the girl, and the reason she brought Kikuiri here was because she wanted his help looking after her. But to Kikuiri, the little girl behaved more like a wild animal. From then on, the two of them took turns caring for the girl. One day, it was Kikuiri's turn, but when he arrived at the factory, the girl was nowhere to be found. He only saw some clothes and a stuffed animal. It turned out the girl was playing hide and seek with him. Rather than a wild animal, she was more like a baby who had just learned to crawl. To Kikuiri's surprise, the girl could actually talk. She reminded him so much of Mutsumi that he curiously asked, "Are you Matsumi's twin sister?" But the little girl didn't understand. She just kept repeating Matsumi's name. Since she didn't seem to have a name, Kikuiri gave her one. Itsumi. Itsumi was overjoyed to have a name. She ran outside to play on an old, rusted train. Despite her small frame, she moved with surprising agility. Kikuiri, who had always wanted to be a painter, immediately began sketching her. At that moment, Matsumi's stepfather, Sagami, arrived. He referred to Sumi as a goddess. He firmly believed that the sacred machine had summoned her to save them all. The next day, the boys invited the girls to explore the tunnel. Rumor had it that the place was haunted. Even the timid old son wanted to go. Mutsumi, her best friend, naturally wanted to go. Soon everyone agreed to go together. That night, they gathered at the train station. The tunnel had long been blocked by a landslide. The rules were simple. Go in pairs, walk through the tunnel, and leave a message on the wall that would count as completing the exploration. Sanab partnered with Kikuiri. As they explored the tunnel, Sanab felt the trip was pointless. She decided to scribble on the wall and leave. But when Kikuiri saw what she wrote, he was shocked. Sanab told him she liked him, but Kikuiri already liked someone else. The mood instantly turned awkward. To make matters worse, others secretly followed and overheard everything. Humiliated and overwhelmed, Sanab ran off. Just then, a crack opened in the sky. Filled with despair, the shy Sanab could no longer hold it in. She had only wanted to express her feelings to Kikuiri, but instead, she became everyone's laughingstock. As she spoke, cracks began to appear across her body. Then, thick smoke from the factory took the shape of a wolf and lunged at her. Though Mutsumi rushed in to save her, she was too late. The moment Sanab completely vanished, the sky returned to normal. After this incident, everyone realized how terrifying this town truly was. There had to be a horrifying truth behind it. Kikuiri and the others told the adults what had happened. Sagami, the town's head priest, finally revealed the truths. Factory smoke from the sacred machine formed its wolf. Its purpose was to maintain the stability of this world, sealing any cracks. Sanab left because she wanted to escape. That's why the wolf devoured her. If anyone else wanted to stay alive, they had to keep their hearts calm. They must never allow themselves to feel despair. Kikuiri was filled with guilt, believing it was his fault Sanog died, so he poured his heart out to it. Sumi, though she didn't understand what had happened, comforted him in her own special way. Unexpectedly, Mutsumi walked in on their intimate moment. She was furious. A heated argument broke out between her and Kikuiri. As Kikuiri prepared to take Sumi, Mutsumi cried uncontrollably. Her best friend had vanished, and now the person she liked was getting close to someone else. But there was no time for explanations because Sagami had also found them. In a panic, Kikuiri grabbed Mutsumi and Itsumi, and they fled the scene. They ran to a strange, airy place. Even stranger, as Itsumi began to breathe heavily, a rift appeared in the sky once again. On the other side of the rift, a completely different landscape emerged. It was Sumi who climbed toward the top, full of excitement, wanting only to see more of the outside world. Kikuiri, unable to suppress his curiosity, followed her up, ignoring Sagami's. Pleased to stop, they both climbed to the highest point. The rift in the sky engulfed them completely in the next moment. That's when Kikuiri realized the outside world was the real actual world, and that once someone from the town entered the real world, they would gradually fade away and disappear just like Itsumi. Everyone exhaled with relief upon realizing their safety. It was only then that Kikuiri realized that Sumi came from the real world. That also explained why only she could mature. At this point, Sagami stopped hiding the truth and he revealed everything. This world was a false reality created by the sacred machine. After the steel factory exploded, the town's economy collapsed. The sacred machine didn't want people to leave, so it created this false world. In other words, everyone here was a projection, an illusion, and now the rift in this world was growing larger and larger. Even though the sacred machines and wolf worked tirelessly to seal the cracks, they could no longer stop the collapse of this world. When everyone heard this truth, they didn't react with the despair one might expect. In fact, deep down, they had always suspected something was off about this world. The reason they chased after thrills and pain was because they could barely feel anything anymore. They could only cling to vague memories of what science stations once felt like. They couldn't feel cold in the winter, nor did they feel hot in the summer. From the very beginning, they had sensed that this world might be an illusion. After the news spread, more and more people wished to disappear. Wolf claims the sacred machines devoured these people. Only Sagami strongly believed the sacred machine would grant eternal life. Some still chose to believe him. They became his followers. Mutsumi refused to live with Sagami, so she and Sumi moved into Kikuiri's home. But one day, a crack appeared in the wall of Kikuiri's house. Through the crack, Kikuiri saw his real self. This is the real world. He was married to Mutsumi. Just as he approached, Mutsumi pulled back. The rift vanished instantly. Kikuiri wondered why Mutsumi wasn't surprised. Mutsumi explained that the first time she found Otsumi, she saw a family photo inside her backpack, which meant that Otsumi was actually the daughter of Kikuiri and Mutsumi in the real world. But Mutsumi refused to acknowledge it because a real mother would never lock her child in a place like that and let her suffer. The real Mutsumi must be a kind and gentle mother who's been waiting for her daughter to return. Unfortunately, there was no way to send Sumi back to the real world. More and more people were disappearing by the day. Classmates were working up the courage to confess their feelings to their crushes. Kikuiri, affected by this atmosphere, decided to confess to Mutsumi, but she rejected him. Kikuiri was confused. They clearly had feelings for each other, so why did she refuse? Through tears, Mutsumi said that she didn't truly feel alive and had no sense of meaning or purpose. Kiki pushed Mutsumi to the ground and kissed her. Ultimately, his emotions moved her. But just then, Sumi walked in and saw everything. She loved Kikuiri too, and her heart broke instantly. Her sorrow filled the air, and the cracks in the sky began to fracture uncontrollably. The town was on the brink of complete destruction. The abandoned steel factory stopped producing smoke, signaling that the false world was beginning to collapse. Fragments of the real world began bleeding into the illusion. That's when Kikuiri and Mutsumi realized that Sumi was nearby. But Kikuiri still didn't understand why she was so upset. Mutsumi gently touched her lips and, deep in thought, ran off to find her. The townspeople held an emergency meeting. At this rate, reality would fully break through the rift and destroy the false world. Sagami believed the only way to stop this design disaster was to bring it, Sumi, back to the sacred machine. While packing at home, Kikuiri's mother found her husband's old diary and gave it to Kikuiri. Inside, he discovered that after the steel factory explosion, his father had found Sumi on a freight train. She had come from the real world. Riding the train into this place, Kikuiri's grandfather had a realization. If the machine that dug into Mount Tami could become the sacred machine, then perhaps a transport machine could too. In other words, if it's Sumi when he boards that train again, she might return to the real world. Kikuiri kept reading the diary. His father had once tried to send Sumi back, but Sagami had stopped him. He believed it. Sumi was chosen and should be imprisoned in the sacred machine to protect the world. When Kikuiri's father found the family photo in her backpack, he finally realized that she was his granddaughter. In that moment, he felt grateful to have the chance to meet his future granddaughter in this illusionary world. So he wrote everything down in the diary, but he had no way to send her back to the real world, perhaps out of guilt. His heart filled with despair. In the end, he was devoured by the sacred machine's wolf. Kikuiri decided to send Sumi back to the real world after learning of his father's final wish. At the same time, Kikuiri's uncle Tokumune couldn't accept the destruction of this world. He wanted to restart the steel factory in the real world and artificially recreate the sacred machine wolf. Although no one knew if this plan would work, he refused to vanish along with the collapse of this world. Tokumune's proposal gained the support of most people, except for Kikuiri, who insisted on sending its Sumi back first. But Tokumune also had someone he wanted to save. Soon after, everyone gathered to discuss how to send its Sumi back to the real world. Kikuiri thought they had to send her through the tunnel crack before the sacred machine wolf woke up. He suspected the crack inside the tunnel might connect directly to the real world. However, its Sumi herself didn't want to go back. She had long lost her past memories. The classmates also worried that sending her back would accelerate global collapse. During the argument, a group of children lured its Sumi away. The mastermind behind this was Sagami. Upon learning that Sagami had taken its Sumi to the steel factory, Kikuiri and Mutsumi rushed there immediately. They found Sagami performing a ritual trying to marry its Sumi to the mountain god. Mutsumi was utterly disgusted by her stepfather's actions. While Sagami was distracted, they hurried upstairs to find its Sumi and decided to take her away. They ran to the railway outside, where Kikuiri's grandfather arrived just in time to help. He drove a train and took them away from the factory. Meanwhile, their classmates chased after them, determined to keep its Sumi in this world. But the train didn't get far before it derailed. At that critical moment, Kikuiri's best friend showed up driving a car. They managed to shake off their classmates, but Sagami caught up again. The crack in the sky kept growing. We were running out of time. Suddenly, the car broke down. Kikuiri had no choice but to get out and push it himself. At the same time, real-world summer festival fireworks lit up the sky. Through the crack, Kikuiri glimpsed his true self. He stared at a toy in his hand, lost in thought. Back then, it seemed he wanted that toy so badly. She started crying and throwing a tantrum, so Kikuiri and Mutsumi pretended to leave to scare her a little, but when they turned back, she was gone. Ever since then, Mutsumi had lived in deep regret. This memory made Kikuiri even more determined. He had to bring Sumi back to the real world. Meanwhile, the cracks in the virtual world grew wider. The workers panicked, and just then, the sacred machine wolf finally appeared. Kikuiri finally managed to push the car up the slope as the virtual world stabilized. They needed to get it to Sumi via the tunnel before the other side sealed it off. In the real world, Kikuiri heard someone ask him to take a picture. He placed the toy on the train, but unexpectedly the train started moving. Seeing this from the virtual world, Kikuiri suddenly came up with an idea. He dashed through the crack to chase the train, even though doing so made both him and Mutsumi disappear completely. But he didn't care anymore. The real-world train conductor noticed a vehicle chasing the train, so he stopped, but he saw nothing. Mutsumi seized the opportunity and pulled Sumi under the train. She pushed Kikuiri off to prevent him from leaving with her. Just as Kikuiri was devastated, his friends drove up to him. In that moment, the night sky exploded with brilliant fireworks, illuminating the entire city. Soon, he looked at Mutsumi, who was becoming more open. She wanted to go back with her, but then she noticed a toy on the ground. Something about it felt familiar. Mutsumi told her at the end of that tunnel, "There are not just festivals and lights waiting for you. Many more people who love you are waiting for you." That and her toy recalled a past memory. In its Sumi's mind, she realized she didn't belong in this world. Ultimately, she made her decision. She handed her veil to Mutsumi. By now, the cracks in the sky were rapidly healing, and the train was very close to the tunnel entrance. Mutsumi made her decision at the perfect time. She leapt off the train as the cracks sealed behind her. Kikuiri caught her in his arms. They rolled over and over before finally coming to a stop. They were bruised and bleeding, but Mutsumi Sumi was smiling because that pain made her feel alive. They didn't know what kind of consequences might follow sending its Sumi back to the real world, but they had no regrets. As the train disappeared into the tunnel, everyone cheered. They had succeeded inside the train. Its Sumi could no longer hold back her tears. In the final scene, a grown-up Sumi returned to visit the abandoned steel factory. After all, this was the place where she grew up. Every sight, object, was a memory and pressure. After returning to the virtual world, the sacred machine sealed all gaps. The people who remained didn't know how much longer this world could hold together, but for now, they were still alive. I appreciate you viewing my anime recap, Unruly Family. Please let me know what you think about this anime recap by liking, sharing, and commenting, and please subscribe to the channel to help us reach 5,000 subscribers.